Hi, everybody. I'm Alexandra Hartung, and I am a nursing major at St. John Fisher. And I'm going to give a brief presentation on what it means for me to have a good life and the ethics that go along with that. So, what is a good life to me? A good life to me means that my life had an impact on others and that I helped people. If I'm laying on my deathbed someday, I want to be remembered as the helper of the group, of someone who was compassionate, empathetic, and helped everybody that I could. So, here are some philosophies to help you help. Uh, the first one is being virtue ethics. It is, to me, it is the basic of helping. It was thought of by Aristotle back in ancient Greece. And the basic of virtue ethics is centered around what is the moral thing to do, what is morally correct in the situation. So, ways to think about this is the golden rule that we were taught in elementary school: treat others the way you want to be treated. That is because if you are treating others the way you want to be treated, hopefully you want to be treated with morals and ethically, and so your virtues and reflected on other people would and your morals reflected on other people would be good and true. So that is that aspect of virtue ethics. Another way of thinking about virtue ethics is how your actions show who you are. And a way to help you act morally would be, do I want to be the type of person that does XYZ? Do I want to be remembered as the type of person who saved lives or helped an old lady cross the road? Or do I want to be known and remembered as the person who used to kick puppies? So, things that are encompassed in virtue ethics are deontology, which is duty to do what is right. So that can be like the duty to your country as a soldier, or the duty to be to help others when you are a nurse. This also encompasses consequentialism, which is thinking about how your actions consequences will fall out and what that means for the morality of your actions. A way of understanding helping is thinking about altruism. So, altruism is defined as acting in the best interest of others rather than yourself. So, there's in this aspect, there's a lot of ways to think about altruism. Is it possible to have all your actions purely be altruistic? Probably not. But to do something altruistically is not impossible. So that could be slowing down in a school zone. You slow down in a school zone because you are legally obligated to. But you also might be slowing down the school zone because you know there's pedestrians that are probably children that aren't paying attention. So you going slow and paying attention will be better for the other people. So that is an altruistic act. Also, for understanding helping is autonomy. You need to be autonomous to help other people. How this is something that Kant said, which is autonomous people are considered as being ends in themselves, and that they have the capacity to determine their own destiny, and as much and such must be respected. So this means that you are not a tool for other people. You helping is not a tool for someone else's ends. You are a means to your own ends, and that means to an ends might be helping somebody. Uh, the ethical issue here is that um, if someone is coerced into helping, that is not ethical. That is not how autonomy works. It's violating autonomy and therefore is not an ethical act. That can lead us into the next topic of consent. Uh, Coercion does not lead to consent. Consent is giving permission for something to happen or agreement to do something. Uh, And a very important aspect of consent is having informed consent. So, informed consent is when all the information is provided so that someone can make a decision on what is best for them on the information given. So, this is very important when having medical procedures. So, in this instance, if a patient is not given all the information about a drug that they might be starting, um, they have the capability to rescind their consent when those issues arise because they were not informed of them, and therefore their consent can be taken away. Here are some philosophies that personally don't help me help other people, or that's just my own beliefs. There's obviously aspects of these two philosophies that can help you help other people, but for me, looking at the benefits and costs of it, they don't help me as much as the other ones that I spoke about. So the first one being altruism. So altruism was thought about by Bentham and Mills, and the basics of it is the best outcome for the greatest number of people, which sounds great on the surface. So the issue of this arises, especially in the medical field, when talking about organ donations. So for this, you can think, if a healthy patient comes into the hospital, is it ethical to harvest their organs and save 20 people who need an organ transplant? That is the greatest amount of good for the greatest number of people. However, in that instance, you might be violating the individual's rights to not be harmed while seeking care. So, in that sense, I don't really believe that altruism is the best ethical principles to be following to help other people. In libertarianism, thought of by Locke and Kant around the French Revolution, is upholding liberty and personal freedoms. This again sounds great. If you want to have personal freedoms to do what you want, when you want, consensually with everybody. But the issue here lies in the fact that there was a case of a town in the US that was based on libertarianism. Many libertarians moved into this town and were looking to live libertarially, I guess. So it went well for the first couple months. However, after a while, there began to be a bear problem, funny enough. And this was because people were feeding wildlife, and feeding the wildlife brought in the bears and other predators, which posed a threat to the safety of the community. The issue then was, what was the town to do to protect the whole population from this new infestation of bears? Um, but they couldn't come to agreement because creating a law to limit if you could feed wildlife or not was an attack on their personal freedoms, and that would not fly in a libertarian community. So that is one of the cases that I came across that showed what I think are some of the flaws that come up with having a pure libertarian view of ethics. So, moving forward, as I said before, I am a nursing major, so I will be going into a helping career. So, in a helping career, you want to make sure that you have all the ethics out on the table and consider everything, especially when you're dealing with somebody's life. So, here to honor that, we take the Hippocratic Oath, written up by Hippocrates in ancient Greece, and it is the longest standing binding oath that we know of. The abbreviated version of it is help the ill to the best of your ability and to keep the privacy of your patients. So, this oath encompasses virtue ethics of acting morally and correctly for your patients, altruism of helping others before you help yourself, because that is your job. You are there to help everybody else. And this also has to remind us that our patients are people too, and they have their own individual rights that we have to honor when we are treating our patients. And this is a consensual contract to protect the science and art of medicine and to uphold its integrity and to make sure that everyone in the field is acting according to proper ethical models. So, that is how ethics is going to influence my life in the future when I go into nursing. And it was, and yeah, so thank you all for listening. And I hope to see you all on campus soon. And thank you so much.